Our second video of the day comes to us from RFK Jr. During a recent event while campaigning for President Trump, he was asked what he thought about Trump as a person, and he shared this amazing story.
I've known President Trump for many years, and on two occasions I sued him. He was trying to build golf courses up in the New York City reservoir watershed, and I sued him successfully to stop that. And at one point, my wife, she wanted to go to Palm Beach for the weekend to see my mom over Easter, and I said, I didn't want to buy tickets for all the kids. And she said, what if I find a free ride? And I said, okay. Then she said, I found a free ride. And I said, who? And she said, Donald Trump. And I said, I'm suing him. And she said, he told me he knows you're suing him, but it's okay anyway. And we ended up flying down with him, and I had a great time. I still sued him, and...
It's such an interesting story because you kind of separate the friendship from the legal stuff. It's like, yeah, you sue me, I get it, that's what you do. Yeah. But I'm not, like, you want to use my plane, fine. I mean, some people would not understand that.
No, I think I have been able to do that. Otherwise, I would have nobody to talk to at all. You know? Greg, it was interesting. I endorse people, and my endorsement record is very good. But sometimes I'll endorse people that said horrible, horrible things about me. And people say, do you have any idea what he said? And I said, if I did that, I would never be able to endorse anybody, because when I first ran, everybody was violently opposed to me. So I would never be able to endorse anybody. And I like to endorse people
terrible
if I
things.
think they're good. Honestly, you weren't so good at the beginning.
And I believe we have the tape. That's right. I'm making my move, Gutfeld. Roll it.
No, but I want to bring up, this is a friend of mine has this theory. He says that your campaign is like a pirate ship. You have this eclectic band of supporters that are individuals and different, but they're a pirate ship. But the issue with the pirate ship is every now and then you get a stowaway. So you get an odd person like a Scaramucci or an Amorosa. It's like, when you have a pirate ship of all these different people, how do you have any kind of control? Or is that just the risk?
Well, like the people that you mentioned, I don't know them very well, but the people that you mentioned, they all want to come back. They all want to come back. And when you don't take them back, I don't want them back. Certain people I don't want back. When you don't take them back, they'll say anything. They make up stories.
Yeah.
They make up stories at levels that you wouldn't believe. Stories that bear no resemblance, that don't exist. It's like they're storytellers. But when you don't take people back, and they think of it as a glamorous life, I think, my whole thing, the sphere, I don't think of it. I just work really hard. We have to win this election to save our country. If we don't win this election, I really believe our country is either finished or very close to it, because we have to turn it. And if we don't turn it and turn it now, it's going to be too late to turn it later. I really believe that.
It is interesting. On their side, they have people like Lynn Cheney, and
Lynn Cheney.
Liz Cheney.
Yes.
No, Liz Cheney's rough, but her older sister, Lynn Cheney, she's a monster.
No, it's Lon.
Remember?
Lon
She's
Cheney.
Chasing us with a broken beer bottle.
Lon Cheney.
Oh.
But, you have Elon Musk, you have RFK Jr., you have Tulsi Gabbard. These are all really strong-willed people.
They're great people. Elon,
Are you saying he has a diverse cabinet?
No, we have great people. A thing just happened about 10 minutes before I walked in. The Teamsters, for many, many decades, always automatically support the Democrats.
Right.
This year, they refused to do it. And they took a poll, and we got 60% in the poll in the Teamsters. And they're not going to support the Democrats this year. They're going to, I guess, remain neutral. But that was sort of a big event. Nobody's ever expected a thing like that to happen. They actually took a poll of the Teamsters, of the people, the workers, the people that really do the job, and they're good. I've had many of them work for me with the concrete stuff, the frames. They put up the frames. They drive the trucks. So they just announced they're not going to support the Democrats. They're going to remain neutral, I think.
That individual poll is like 10-1 average from employees.
We had a tremendous advantage with the people. And I think the people that run it Sean O'Brien, who's the top guy, he's a great guy. But I think they said, you know, how can we support this person, meaning them?
Yeah.
But they have for decades. I think 5, 6 decades. They've never. I mean, it's been many, many years since they supported a Republican or did this.
You're seeing an interesting flip in like where the Democrats used to be the party of the people, and the Republicans were the country clubbers. Since you came along, it's flipped. It's really interesting, and people go, but he's a billionaire. But it's a billionaire from Queens. That doesn't count.
Well, you know, one of the nicest things that's happened to me as a politician is that I get most of my money from people that average $61. Think of it. And that's never happened to a Republican before. It happens to Democrats, but it happened with Bernie Sanders. That would be the best example. But it's a tiny fraction of the money that I get. We get a lot of money from people. They average $61. And those people all vote. Those people, they get, you know, we have some people that'll pay us like $25 a month every single month. They won't miss it. You know, they're very committed. There's never been a Republican where that happened, too, where you get your money. It's called the small money. The small money is ultimately big money because there's so many people contributing. So, you know, that's like a great honor for me.
Yeah, I'm like that. It's something I always sign up for and then forget.
Well, that's
like Paramount.
Can I please ask a question, just because I'm never going to be allowed in a room with the president again?
Sure.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
You know, I'll tell you, it's a funny thing, because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question. It is the craziest thing. So we have that so-called area. They consider it like a sacred area. And I will say this. I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. The blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. These are, they said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, you know, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, I mean, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
Follow-up
So there's
question.
something.
Also a maybe. I think
Follow-up question, Mr.
Maybe.
President. Follow-up. If in fact there are aliens, would you be willing to put tariffs on them to help us with the economy? They're not just going to fly down in here.
We're going to have more fun because we got questions from the audience.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.